let's see how to use Wikipedia to pull data from the web and describe a person's life by the amount of years that appear in the article. So I will be using the rvest package. It will allow me to pull HTML data directly from the web into R. The function that I will first be using is called read_html. So if I run this, you can see that I am pulling the Wikipedia article for Diego Maradona. If you don't know him, he was the best football player ever. And I will have here in person, I will have two things, a head and a body. Ideally, I would like to work with body because the body will contain all the data and the head will contain headers and JavaScript styles and CSS styles and things that I don't want. You can read more about HTML elsewhere. Now, a first thing that I will need is this person's birthday. Now, the issue with this is that when I am parsing a complex HTML document, I might encounter lots of numbers. Some of them will be proper years and some of them will be just noise. And especially in Wikipedia articles, I will probably be getting lots of years related to the family of the person that I am relating. For example, his parents or his grandparents and so on. And I don't care so much about his ancestors, but I care more about the person. So I will be using the birthday to later filter all the years that happened after this birthday. This is a way of reducing noise in my exercise. So here I have the birthday. You can see that the notation that I used is quite untraditional. I am passing a person, then I'm pulling all the HTML nodes that contain a bday class. So the way of identifying this is by inspecting the HTML document. So you can do this, for example, in Chrome by using inspect. And once I have here the inspect results, I can then search for the data that I would like to pull. In my case, I would like to pull the date when the person was born. And then I need to identify what was the birthplace or the date when the person was born and so on by using the appropriate things that I find. Maybe it's a class or maybe it's an ID. So I need to be very careful how to identify the thing. So you can trust me that if you search this document, you will find something with bday class. So the way I identify class in rvest is by using this. If I am using this, I will be pulling IDs. And if I be writing this, I will be pulling HTML elements. So if I had, for example, div, I would be pulling a div. If I had p, I would be pulling a paragraph. If I have table, I would be pulling a table. As I said before, bday is enough for me. I am first transforming it into a date. And then I am formatting it just to keep the year with 4 digits. And then I'm transforming that to a number. So if I run this, I will have year, which so you can see that here I have a problem. The problem is that bday is not an HTML element, so I need the dot to identify a class. So if I run this, you can see that now I have the year when he was born, and I'm almost ready. The other thing that I will be doing is pulling all the HTML structure from this variable. And then I will be transforming the new line characters by spaces, and then I will be splitting all the strings according to the spaces. So you can see that here length of years will be quite a huge thing. This has 17,000 elements. So they will be splitted by this. Of course, they won't contain necessarily numbers up to this point, so we'll need something else. And the way I am doing this is by using rep. I'm writing a specific regular expression here. So I'll be keeping the numbers that are a 19 or a 20, followed by a number, and followed again by a number. So you can read more about regex expressions elsewhere, but this is a a very simple way of putting years here. And then I will be replacing some characters that are just adding noise and they are not useful, which are parentheses, dots, and commas. And I will be removing them. So I will be replacing them by nothing. And then the last step is to keep only the years. So let's see how this looks like. You can see that this has a lot of noise. I have lots of things that seem to be references. So obviously I could design a more sophisticated approach of using this, but ideally I would like to simplify. And the way of simplifying could be to potentially just use all the numbers that really look as numbers. So let's see how to do that. So if I execute this again, you can see that at the end I get proper numbers, and the way I searched for that was numbers that begin with its first character. This in regex says that the first character should be here. Then I should be expecting essentially 4 numbers. So this would be years, and this is the end of the string character, or end of the pattern character. So again, this will be starting. The starting of the string should be followed by 4 numbers, and then the string should end. So essentially I'm keeping that. Of course, again, you can develop much better approaches for parsing the years in a Wikipedia document. This is like the very, very simplest way. And then I am transforming this as numbers, because up to this point they're just characters. So if I see what's inside years, you can see that now I have proper numbers. And then I would like to do a query. I will be keeping every years element that is greater or equal, well, we can put it like this, than year. So if I run this, we get a filtered set of numbers, and they will all be greater than 1960 when this person was born. And we can then print a very nice histogram here, so we can analyze this person's life. In this case, Diego was born in 1960, and of course nothing much happened until 1975, when he was a grown and very important football player. And we can see that here it's where his career started. And then in 1986 he was the best football player in the world, and he won the World Cup in Mexico. So this was obviously his most important year. And immediately after that, and that was 4 years ago, he played the World Cup finals and Argentina lost against Germany. So anyway, that's his career was super important up to that point. He then continued his career back in his homeland Argentina, but obviously his importance in the football community had disappeared to some extent. And then immediately after that, he continued his career as a football manager and as a football directive, and he became super important. And after that, he became a football and sports ambassador. And you can see how important he got over these last years. Bear in mind that this last thing that we are seeing here in the histogram is just random noise. That's because we got a very few observations for 2016 and 17, and that's why the histogram is creating this extra thing over here. We could of course correct this and do a much nicer histogram. So we can do a similar thing, but instead of choosing a football player, we could, for example, choose a politician. Let's pick Winston Churchill. So I need to first pull his Wikipedia profile and then run the same exercise. So here we see what happened with him. we see that he was born around here, and he was obviously most important around this date, when obviously the Second World War was happening. And after that, his importance started to decay. And eventually we have a nice spike here that it will require some extra thinking. And finally, let's see another example. We have probably the best physicist ever. So let's see what happened with him. So we can see that he was born around here. I'm not pulling data from the 18th century because it would contain a lot of references to the work that he later used as a basis for his analysis. So I just don't want to keep dates of the 19th century there. Sorry, of the 18th century. So, especially because it will describe a lot about his parents and his ancestors and so on. So here we have that he was born here. He started his career here. In 1922, he won the Nobel Prize in physics, and up to that point, he was the most important scientist in the world. And that probably lasted for a few years or a few decades. Certainly, he was still important back in the war, in World War II. He was a pacifist, and he helped a lot the global community in trying to be very careful about the impact of nuclear weapons. So he was, apart from being a very important scientific, he was a very important political figure up to some extent. And obviously his importance started to decay. He died at some point around here. And obviously before dying he was probably not producing so much research or so much important research as he was producing before. But he was still a very important figure. And after that we see that there are a lot of mentions to Einstein's work. And that's probably because there were a lot of experiments to verify his discoveries, and that's why we probably see these spikes over here.